Mahindra has had a sort of a roller coaster ride in the Indian car market. Some of its vehicles like the XUV300 and the Scorpio have been huge success stories, but some like the Altaras, the Xylo have not fared all that well. But to change everything and redefine the game, Mahindra has launched the much talked about and much awaited XUV700. It's a car that's offered in both petrol as well as diesel engine options. It's got automatic and manual transmission. It's got 5-seat layout and 7-seat layout. And it's got a whole lot of features on the inside and on the outside. It's taking on a whole long list of rivals. And today at HT Auto, we'll be telling you everything you need to know about the latest Mahindra to have hit Indian roads. Now, it's really windy here in Chennai, but the real tsunami is what the XUV is looking to bring, also courtesy its looks. From the front, it looks very muscular, very bulky, just how SUVs are perhaps meant to be. That's courtesy this large front grille that you see here. There are 6 vertical lines here. These are done in chrome and 7 slots on this grille. Now, on either side of the grille is this really stylish looking LED headlight units. It's surrounded by C-shaped DRLs, and down below you can see the fog lights. There is a grey skid plate up at the front as well, and there are twin character lines on the bonnet. Completing the look of the car from the front, and as you move to the side, things start to look a little similar to the erstwhile XUV500. Now remember, proportionally nothing has changed. This car, in terms of size, in terms of numbers, is the same as the XUV. What is slightly different is the Adreno X badge here. Now, what is Adreno X? We'll get to that when we step inside the cabin. You also get a bit of chrome on the window belt line. Unfortunately, we've noticed that it does attract a whole lot of fingerprints, so that's not such a great thing. And of course, you just cannot miss this auto pull-out and auto fold door handles. It's a first in segment, so good job on that count. Next up, the 18-inch alloy wheels. They look really smart on this top-of-the-line variant. The wheel arches are also very decent. On lower variants, you will get 17-inch steel wheels. The overall profile of the vehicle, complete with the roof line and the belt line moving back, slight wave and sort of meeting into this tail light here, completes a reasonably smart look from the side. The rear gets arrow LED headlights which look really smart, and it's got pattern indicators both at the front as well as at the back. And the Mahindra logo, let's not miss that logo, which is now at the back and at the front. It's an all-new Mahindra logo. This is the logo that you will see. It's a statement of intent from the company, and it will be on every SUV, starting with this one and moving forward to all the new launches. Now, the XUV700 that we've got today is in the 7-seat layout. So the middle row has a bench seat. The third row entry and exit is a tad difficult, although the process is similar to what you would find in 3-row vehicles. Now, once you've made that journey from outside to the third row, things tend to improve ever so slightly. Now, like the Safari and unlike the Alcazar, the XUV700 compromises a bit on the boot space, but in turn you benefit with a little bit more of knee room. So my knee room is right now pretty comfortable, pretty okay. My knees are still touching the second row seats, but it's pretty adequate for even short to medium distance journeys. If you are hot, then you do have AC vents here dedicated. You can control the speed of the vents. For convenience, you have 12-volt charging sockets and a cup holder here. Now, what about the second row? Really, in 3-row SUVs, the second row is the throne, so to speak, of the vehicle. The second row seats are really nice and generous in terms of the space that's on offer. I like the white upholstery that the car gets overall, but I do feel that since this car is meant for the outdoors, or so Mahindra tells us, it may just get a tad dirty. But barring that, there is generous amount of knee room. Feet are well placed as well. Right now I'm a little too straight, so I can recline this just a bit, but if I do, then remember the leg room that I spoke of in the third row will get compromised. There are no captain seats on any of the 7-row variants inside the XUV, but the bench seats do get a central armrest. And one thing that's really great is that the central armrest does not jut back at all. So the passenger in the middle row will have a lot of space to put his or her feet. Another great thing about this car is that you don't have to ask the front passenger to adjust his or her seat, because you can do it all by yourself, assuming that there is no one in that front seat. So if I want more leg space, I can just push this lever and push the seat up front for even more leg space. The window is decently big as well. But who would actually look out of this window when you have something that Mahindra is calling as a sky roof? Yes, the sky roof or the sunroof in this particular car is the largest in this segment. So again, the element play in this car is really good. Now really, the business end of the XUV700. There is a whole lot to look forward to. If you notice, the seat moves back every time you exit, and again every time you want to enter, and then once you sit, it moves forward. So that's a nice little gesture. It calls for easier entry and exit from the vehicle. Now, the quality of the seats also are really good on the first and the second row, and pretty decent in the third row as well. The cushioning level is pretty good. The quality of stitching looks very upmarket too, and these seats are perforated. They have really nice styling elements, but if you think that these are ventilated, well, I have a little bit of bad news. The front seats or none of the seats in this car are ventilated. Now that's a small detail. The not so small details are all around this vehicle. Starting with the 10.25-inch main display unit, it's seamlessly connected with another 10.25-inch all-digital driver's display. Let's talk a bit about this interface right here. Mahindra calls it the tile-like setup, and we can clearly see what they mean. It's got this really nice interface. Everything is very responsive to touch, and it's got a whole lot of functionalities for radio, navigation. It supports Android Auto, Apple CarPlay, pretty standard fare actually. But beyond that, you also get more than 60 connected apps. And this car, of course, is powered by Adreno X. Now, I mentioned this before, but that really is the brain of everything that's inside. One of the primary things that system allows you to do is Alexa voice integration. So if you want to speak to Alexa, give a command while you're on the move, you can do that. Things like the sunroof, things like climate control, things like navigation, things like music control. It also coordinates and communicates with Echo devices at home, so that's fantastic too. Now, as great as the 10.25-inch main display unit is, it does attract a whole lot of fingerprints, and it's also tad reflective, so maybe not very legible when you're out in sunny conditions as we are right now. Coming back to the design layout, there is soft touch leather done in a sort of a cream color. Looks very premium, but as I mentioned, tends to get dirty. In fact, it already has a little bit of dirt from somewhere, so maintaining this may just be a bit of an issue. This car has dual zone climate control, so that's great. Then there are buttons. You can control 360-degree camera, and you can select drive modes from here as well. Although in our experience, when we were on the move, there was a little bit of a fault, so sometimes when I pressed the drive mode, it reflected on the screen and sometimes it didn't, so I really would have to ask Mahindra to check on that. Now, this being an automatic, the central console is done in piano black, and it looks pretty premium. You can make use of buttons for auto park. You have a rotary dial for volume control as well. And something that I've not seen in Mahindra cars before, or cars in this segment, you can electronically control the position of the driver seat. So forward and back, you can adjust for recline, and you can also make use of the memory functions here. Remember, this is only for the driver, so if you're on the passenger seat, sorry. The sound system in this car is phenomenal. If at all you go for a test drive, just park the car and enjoy the music. There are 12 speakers all around this vehicle, and it's powered by Sony. And it's also got something called 3D technology. It's got 4 virtual speakers, but that is for the absolute someone who's very, very enthusiastic about music. The 12 physical speakers that we've experienced in all the 3 rows are really, really upmarket and pretty good. Now comes the most important part. How is the XUV700 to drive? Well, as I mentioned, it has got 2 engine options, the petrol and the diesel. The one that we're inside right now is the top of the line AX7 2.2 litre M-Hawk engine. Now, if numbers are something that you find really boring, let's get this car on the move and show you what it's capable of. The moment you step inside the XUV700, and especially when you get this car moving, the one thing that you notice immediately is the nice ride height, because I have a really commanding view of the road, and it gives me a sense of confidence. It gives me that feeling of actually being inside what this car really is, which is a sports utility vehicle. Right now we are at the Mahindra's latest test track, and it is perhaps an ideal place to push this car as and when and as and how you want it, but being very safe. Now let's push this car and see what this automatic transmission can do. Remember, there is 450 Newton meters of torque, so hitting 100 is just a cakewalk, assuming that you are on a road that allows it. But right now I'm on a test track and it's 120 and over, and this car is just rock steady. And even on curves like this, it is just buttery smooth. There is just so much of confidence moving the XUV700. I mean, it is really, really something that enthusiasts would perhaps really admire. At high speeds, the steering wheel, it's got a nice weight, nice clout to it, and that is something you really, really do need when you are tackling a car of this size and shape. But the good thing is that despite the ride height that I previously mentioned, this car remains very steady, very stable, very planted. And I found the suspension to be really, really, really well done. It's one of the best suspensions that I've ever seen on a Mahindra car. The way it was just gulping down speed breakers and some of the potholes on the road was phenomenal. But the one negative aspect that I found on this car is the A-pillar. It's a very chunky, very thick A-pillar. So out on open roads, if you are making turns, that can be a bit of an obstruction. It hinders your view. Now remember, Mahindra has also packed the SUV with not just performance, but with a whole lot of safety features. Now, some of the Mahindra cars are doing exceedingly well when it comes to global crash tests. Structurally, Mahindra says that the XUV700 is one of its safest cars ever. We'll just have to take their word for it, but there is a whole lot safety features that you can look forward to. So you have a driver drowsiness detection system, you have 7 airbags in this car. Of course, the top variant, it's also got curtain airbags, so that makes it 7. Now, apart from all of that, it also gets adaptive cruise control, and that's for me one of the best safety and convenience features that you can get inside the XUV700. What adaptive cruise control does is you set a speed limit, say 100 kmph. The car will accelerate on its own, and if it detects another vehicle, it will brake on its own too. So in an automatic, your left leg is anyway free and your right leg becomes free as well. So it will take care of all of that. Now, on test tracks like the one I'm on currently, of course, there is no real way to check the braking, but we did check it outside in city conditions and we found it very, very effective. The only thing that I found was that it was overcompensating with the braking when there was a two-wheeler in front. But if it's a bus, truck, or even a car, the braking was gradual, slow, and I would suggest that you still keep your feet at the ready at every single time so that you sort of negate any minutest of possibilities of an unfortunate incident. Mahindra has declared war in the SUV market, and this car right here is a solid proposition in terms of features, engine options, transmission, looks, styling, and of course the price. It starts at rupees 11.99 lakhs ex-showroom for the MX petrol. And here is the full price list so far. Of course, we don't still know the price of the top of the line AX7. But we'll be giving you even more details about the XUV700 in the times to come. But for now, this is all that we have. Thank you so much for watching.